Go check yourself before you wreck yourself, ladies and gentlemen. We are going live very, very soon with the one and only, lovely, true power woman, Deby Barnes. 10 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. Transition. Here we go. And here you see my wonderful, beautiful face. And I've been thinking about this a lot, how to open this podcast today. And I came to following conclusion. Hello, homos. I hope you're all gay. And with that being said, by homos, of course, I mean homo sapiens, human beings. And yeah, if you get angry or upset about the term gay, then please educate yourself before you entertain yourself. It is a term for happiness. So I think we should spread that a little bit more, because I don't want people to get offended by the term gay, because it's a cool word. Not word, I mean word. It's some words you just like to say. However, you are listening to the Surrounded by Details podcast, and my name is Stevo. You listen to a podcast where we talk about everything and nothing, really. We talk MMA, we talk people, we talk life, we talk freelance life photography, and yeah, basically I bring in people that I meet along my journeys or my work, and the person that I'm gonna talk to today is a person that I have been knowing for a while, but we never really met. But, I mean, we've met, but we never really talked while we met. We got to know each other afterwards, and we had some very interesting conversations over the internet. And as I think, in my opinion, this woman has a story to tell, which is quite inspiring. If you are out there a single raising mom, I am pretty sure this woman can give you some valuable tips. And we are about to call her up. But before I do so, I have to mention real quick that there's a little beef going on between Thailand and Facebook and all this kind of stuff. I don't know if you hear that on the other side of the planet, but in case we get cut off, that is because of that issue. But the chances of that happening, we think, is not really big. But it has been on the news, it has been said, so I'm just putting it out there in case you wonder why we might disappear. Yeah, is there anything else to mention? We had a huge lightning yesterday. Nanox Thailand, thank you Zazi Torn Ruing Shinna, our production assistant, producer, angel and devil here on the left side. If you want to get the best out of you, please make sure to put the best inside of you. So go on gateway.com and order your nutrition, and then enter the voucher code SBDGW10, or if that doesn't work, Nanox Thailand Steve, because I just received a new voucher code. I don't know if they have changed. If you have any questions, just let me know. Type it in the comment section next to the video. We are live streaming on YouTube, and I'm also gonna put the voucher code, just to be sure, in the description. So in case you are not listening live, in case you are downloading all our audio episodes for free on iTunes or Podbean, please make sure to jiggity jump over to YouTube, where you can find all the links that you need in order to be happy and order your nutrition. But enough of that, it is time. I make hand gestures like Donald Trump. I don't know why I do this. It's amazing. I have the best hand gestures in the world. However, we gonna go straight over to Trumpland and call Deby Barnes. I'm very excited for this one. I actually even dressed up, which my regular audience probably know, that I normally sit here in short pants and t-shirt. Sometimes I don't wear socks, because we are in Southeast Asia and it is rainy season. It is hot, it is humid. So probably by the end of this episode, my t-shirt will be all water. However, as long as you are entertained, people out there, I did my part. So let's switch over here to Skype and see what Deby is up to. I know there's a time zone difference. It is actually 8 o'clock in the evening over there. So we're gonna make this connection quick before Deby falls to sleep. Kababunga. There we go. And then we click call, and it should ring-a-ding-a-ding.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you doing, sunshine?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm sweaty and hot.
Okay.
Have you gotten comfortable at your place? I mean, you stopped working We talked yesterday shortly before you went to work and I went to bed. Time zone difference make life interesting. How was your day?
It was good. I taught kindergarten today for a little while and then came home and went grocery shopping like a normal human being, I guess.
Like a normal human being. What is normal nowadays?
Oh, it's so hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I don't consider myself as normal, and I hope people consider the same. Can you turn off the sound on your live stream because I hear myself?
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know if you've been following for the podcast from the start, but I actually dressed up for you today. I wear a shirt and I wear long pants. It's a complete new situation for me.
That's hilarious.
Deby, I already explained to the audience, we have been having some great conversations, but we never really had great conversations in real life. We passed each other on an event or two, but yeah, you live over in the States. Can you tell the audience a little bit of who you are and yeah, why are you here?
I'm here to talk to you because I haven't talked to you in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I am a mother. I met you, as you said, from different breaking events in Europe because I used to follow my child around different breaking events that he was invited to all over Europe.
Yeah.
And so I was able to make a lot of friends and learn a lot about the hip hop community through my son. Because he was a minor, so he couldn't travel by himself.
Yeah, that is what makes the whole story interesting. And I had a few people asking who you are because I already announced you on social media as the true power woman. And let me explain. Let me explain shortly because you basically already made already said what is need to be said. You followed your son. And
I think I lost you.
Are you hearing me?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, there you are.
Okay, okay. Let me know if there's any issues. Is a big delay probably. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, let's get back to it. You followed your son who was a b-boy, and the b-boy community probably knows him as b-boy Prada G. First things first, what did you think about his dancing name when he told it to you?
I think, like most parents that have creative children, the first thing you do is internally panic because you think that they're going to be living on your couch for the rest of their lives. And then I just decided, you know, this is my opportunity to support him, but then also give him, you know, options so that he could have different choices just in case he wasn't, you know, spectacular in that form or in any other form artistic thing that he was doing, so that way he would have something to fall back on. So I didn't want to crush his dreams or the things that he wanted to do, but I also wanted to make sure that, you know, when he was 40, he wasn't living on my couch.
That is probably for your own benefits, because no parents wants their kids with 30 or 40s living on their couch, right?
Yes.
Yeah, my parents, they basically kicked me out when I was 16 just to make sure that that won't happen. So, yeah. But your son has been pretty independent pretty early because of all the travels and, yeah, learning about different countries, different people and cultures. So I can imagine that is quite a blessing.
It is. He's learned how, I mean, because he started traveling on his own probably around 16 or 17. And then also with a couple of close b-boy friends that we consider family, like Smurf, El Nino, and then a lot of the b-boy community, they embraced him and looked at him as like a little brother. So I felt like he was safe wherever he went.
Yeah, that is.
And he's
a
relatively good kid, so I wasn't too worried about him and his behavior 90% of the time. But you know, he is a kid, so.
Yeah, you never know, especially when you're a teenage boy, you never know what shit they come up with. I know myself, so yeah, That must have been a tough time for my parents, that's for sure. Deby, you said you try to support your son in whatever he does, and now a few people might say this is what parents are supposed to do, and I agree. But what makes you different, in my opinion, is that you did this as a single mom. Can you tell the audience a little bit of where you are from and how life changed for you when you became a single mom? What went through your mind?
Well, my dad was in the military, so I traveled a lot, but I consider Las Vegas as my home. Even to this day, even though I've lived in California for over 20 years, Vegas will always be my home. I became a single parent when my son was 10. His father passed away in a motorcycle accident, and so it wasn't like it was some gradual thing, like his dad just gradually disappeared. It was just one day he was there, one day he was not, and I probably shit my pants. Excuse me, can I curse?
Of course, fuck, shit, whatever you want.
So there was an initial panic because Junior or Prodigy or Raymond, whatever you want to call him, was a really good kid.
Yeah, let's stick with Junior, it's easier.
Okay, so he was a good kid, and I was deeply afraid that he was a good kid because of his dad and not just because of me. So I was like, oh my God, I had this huge responsibility, because if anything happens and he's not a good kid after this, it's my fault.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of pressure and a lot of fear, because, you know, you think about finances, you think about, you know, your kid growing out without a father figure, whether you can do it, how do you make time for yourself, how do you, you know, make sure that your kid has everything that they need. It's really stressful, but it is very rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, we had something similar happening here in Bali with Bali MMA. I do a lot of mixed martial arts, and they had one coach and friend of Bali MMA. Same thing. One day everything is normal, and then he stepped on the scooter, and then before you know, life is over. Time can go pretty fast, but the thought that happened in your mind, that you immediately thought of your son instead of yourself, that is fascinating to me. How did you come out of that pressure zone?
You know, I don't think you ever come out of that pressure zone until they're a functioning human being on their own. You know, I think about it all the time, and then, you know, I went to church, I prayed on it. I had a very supportive family. My son's father's family were really close, and they were very supportive. The hip hop community was, you know, mind-bogglingly surprising. I didn't realize what an amazing thing that my son had gotten himself and me into, and they supported him, and I felt like he was raised in the hip hop community. They took him in and they made sure he behaved. I mean, I know that the b-boy community sometimes has a certain kind of reputation, but when it came to my kid, I always felt like he was well taken care of 90% of the time.
Yeah, I actually get goosebumps while you talk, and I have to think of, because you said he has been taken care of, and if people are familiar with certain names in the b-boy scene like Alien Ness or Smurf or El Nino, they don't look very friendly, but that is what is always the misunderstanding, that people often go by the visual thing. Did you have that too, or were you straight away, I don't care if people have tattoos, I have to try, and I give them a chance in order to prove themselves worthy enough to be with my son?
Well, my son's mentors were, you know, Kamel, Casper, Smurf. Those were Flea, you know, just Kid David, Luigi. Like, those are the people that he grew up with. And, you know, like you said, you know, I would go places sometimes, and people, because they knew how close Casper and I and Raymond were, or Junior were, they were like, is Casper a nice guy? And I'm like, oh my God, he's a teddy bear. I love him. He's like my favorite. Like it's just like when you, I mean, I seen it with my son. Like when he goes out on the floor, I'm like, oh my God, I don't recognize you. you're a different human being. You're such a jerk. But then when people meet him in person, he's a totally different person.
Yeah.
So a b-boy's dance persona isn't necessarily who they are as people. It's what they are on the floor for that moment. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but that's my perception. Like, I don't see my son going out being so aggressive in real life as he is when he's dancing. And I think that a lot of times people will see b-boys on the dance floor, the way that they talk to other people, how aggressive they may be on the dance floor, and they take that into their mind and like, that's who they are. No, there's so many different parts of who these dancers are and what they represent that I was never afraid, because I got to see them in their daily lives.
I totally agree with you, and that is also what I've been saying to loads of MMA people, because here, ever since I moved to Asia, I got into mixed martial arts, and I compare these two cultures, because you have two people punching each other in the face in the cage, and then they get out and they are different human beings. And your son, I don't know if people, my audience, if you haven't seen Prodigy in a battle, please make sure to Google that, because as you say, he just switches his character, and it's amazing what kind of style he has. And I think that has not only to do with the people in the b-boy scene he surrounded himself with. I think that has also to do with the freedom in his mind that his mom is supporting him. And again, as a single mom, I think that is a tremendous job, because you have to supply a living for both you and him, and at the same time you go out and travel, which costs time, and that time you are not able to make the money that you might need in order to provide a family. So to get everything done here, do you ever give yourself the props that you deserve?
I don't know. I feel like it was my job. I don't know that I could have done it any other way. Like, my son is my everything. Like, I feel like out of everything that I've chosen to do in my life, that is the one thing that I did correct, because, you know, I am stubborn and I have lived my life my way, you know, which has not entirely made my parents happy. Well, my dad's cool, but my mom, she's Asian, and I did things not the way that she would have appreciated. And so, you know, I never thought about it as, oh, I'm doing a good thing. I just thought about it as, this is my kid. I mean, I have to support him in what he does.
Do you ever had trouble with your mom because of being Asian, or your parents, that you kind of had the feeling you have to defend your son and what he is doing, and that you are supporting in him?
Little things come up sometimes, like, you know, my son's father was a music producer, so she was a little worried about me marrying someone that was an artist. And then I don't know that she really understands what it is that Raymond does. She just knows that he dances. I remember she doesn't really criticize it, but I remember the first time she actually sat down and watched him battle was last year, and he's 19 and he's been doing it since he's 10. And she was like, oh my goodness. Wow. She's like, Deborah, you make sure you feed him good food, okay? He is not. I'm like, oh Lord, okay. So, but then like little things come up. Like last night we went to dinner for Mother's Day, and in our car ride, she's like, Junior, you go to college, right? And you know, he's currently working, and and he was like, well, I don't know right now. It just depends on where my career is. Halmoni, which means grandma in Korean, thinks you should go to college. And I understand and that feeling also, because as an educator and also growing up with an Asian family that's always education, education, education. In my heart, oh my God, all I want is my kid to go to college. But when his career path went a different way, I felt like at moments I was disappointed and sad when I was watching my friends' kids go off to college or get their acceptance letters and all this, and my son hadn't applied, and he had a TV show. And I was like, in my mind, because of the way that my mind had been formed from growing up, it wasn't the same. I'm like, I had to rethink the way that I was thinking, because him going to work was his college, or is his college. He goes, he works until they take a break, he comes home, then he goes back, and he's learning life skills that he's getting paid for. But I didn't really look at it the same way, because in my mind it's like, it's not college, it's not college. And I had to change that thinking, because what he was doing is something that I'm super proud of, and I'm happy for him because he followed his dreams and he's doing what he's wanted to do since he was little.
But as an
But that
oh, sorry.
side comes in. I'm sorry. That Asian side does come in sometimes, and it's like, hey, he should go to college. You should talk to yourself. And I have to stop myself and let him follow his path, because now he's 20. So I can only have so much control at this point. I can only give him advice and hope that he either listens or he figures it out on his own.
Yeah, I have a funny transition right now in my head, and I have a logic transition right now in my head. Let's go with the funny one first. Is that the reason why you got Bronson? That's your dog?
No, Bronson is actually not my dog. Bronson is his dog.
Ah, okay. But he's busy.
So when he's gone, Bronson is my dog.
It's funny. I enjoy following you on social media and see all the pictures, like this is Bronson not wanting to walk and all this kind of stuff, because it's a very funny dog. It's a bulldog, I think, right?
Yes, it's a bulldog, and I love him. He's so cute and naughty, and he's a monster.
And now back to the logic transition there, because you said you work as an educator yourself, and this is something that I wanted you to ask because it really interests me. For you that has experienced both the way of creativity and growing up and being an educator yourself, do you think that education or a university degree or college degree is as important as people thought it would be back in the days? Because I mean, now people spend so much time in university. In Germany we have people that go to university until they're 35, 40, and even with the right paper in their hand, they're not guaranteed a job anymore. So how important is it really?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think the only see, some people are not going to like this answer. I don't know how I feel about this answer, but I think the greatest education that a person can have is life experience and travel.
Boom, I agree. We can end the podcast right here. It's a perfect answer.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep on going.
I am a very big proponent of education, especially to kids and young adults that haven't had the opportunity to learn about culture and different civilizations and different places because they haven't traveled or they don't have jobs that they already are going into, because having those experiences, I mean, in college you learn a lot of things that they don't teach you in regular school. You learn more about culture, you learn about things that might interest you. If you're lost and you have no idea what you want to do, you can find things, you can explore different topics to figure out what it is that you want to do. So I think it's a great tool. I mean, I'm completely in debt from college and I'm still going, but I enjoy learning. I think it really depends on the person and their experience in life.
So where do you think has traveling played a role for you as a mom and as teaching? Because I can imagine that you, with your mom being Korean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it must have changed you some way or the other as well. So what is important for you to pass on to your kids, to your students, how important traveling is?
It's really important to me for students to be aware of other cultures and to travel. And if they can't travel, research about different places and different lifestyles, because you don't want to be ignorant of other people. You don't want to offend people or to not be aware of the people around you. I live in Los Angeles. We have a huge, a diverse community, and I think it's really important for people to be culturally aware of other people, so people can feel comfortable around each other, so they can open up and have honest dialogue and not feel like they're being judged.
So, excuse me if I have to go into this shortly, but I'm very interested in this, so I have to ask the question because I just simply don't know, and I don't want to die stupid. But for you, you say it's very important to learn about different cultures, different people, different countries. How do you feel living in a country with a president like Donald Trump at the moment?
Oh, I have no problems. I am disgusted. How about that? Does that answer?
That again,
I
perfect answer.
I am completely disgusted, and quite honestly, I mean, I love my country.
Mhm.
I think it's a wonderful place to live, but it is somewhat embarrassing. It because it's you every I don't most people that are from different countries, you take pride in where you're from. And I know, like from traveling to Canada with my son or to different places, or talking. One of my girlfriends came from Switzerland, and I have other friends from Canada. We talk about the politics, and it's like we're a joke, and nobody wants their home to be a joke, because we take our pride in our country so seriously, and to sit here and know that this person is kind of like the laughing stock of the world right now, and he's running our country, is kind of an embarrassment.
But it is sometimes, I mean, life goes on and times change and you develop and you improve things. And sometimes you need just one thing to happen that realizes, hey, wait a second, we need to reset everything that we have learned, and we need to readjust a little bit. So I think it's more like shit hitting the fan, and yeah, better on the next one. As sad as it sounds, but I think that's your only option at the moment.
I mean, yes, our options right now are limited so far until he does something that's insanely stupid. I mean, that will actually matter to the people that can do something about it. But it has created a movement, and people of all different nationalities and different communities joining together and trying to find a new way. People that you would normally not, band together. I mean, you had the women's march and just different things. And I think that it says something when people can get together as a group peacefully and share their thoughts.
Yeah, I think
and
that.
For a long time we haven't had that.
I think that is something that Donald Trump actually accomplished, is that more people are getting more interested in politics again, because they're just not happy with what they see. And the reason why I made the transition here into politics is because I've been stalking your wall a little bit. I knew you were coming on. Of course, I had to prepare myself a little bit. And I actually saw that you went to a question and answer with Kevin Spacey, the main actor from House of Cards, a TV show from Netflix, which I love. So please, no spoiler alert. But how was that question and answer session with him?
It was phenomenal. So my son had a screening for season, whatever season they're going into. I can't remember, 4, maybe 5. I can't remember the first episode. And after we watched that episode, he came out, and he is absolutely brilliant. He was doing impersonations. He was telling us about how he got his start, how he was, a poor actor in the beginning. Just, I mean, everything. He just was a genius. And so, I mean, so entertaining. He was really entertaining.
Sorry,
I was so caught up in it that I didn't take any pictures. I just was like, whoa, it's Kevin Spacey. I've been a fan of his since The Usual Suspects, one of my favorite movies, and to see him in person and just to hear him talk a little bit about his life and his journey was really amazing.
Yeah, to experience Kevin Spacey must be pretty spacey, I can imagine. I saw that on your wall, and immediately I had jealousy in my mind, because I would love to talk to that guy, and just I wonder how that must be for him to play such a character and realize that that is actually the world he lives in. And is he okay with that? Is that the reason why he produced? Because I think he's also part of the production of House of Cards.
I'm not sure if he is, but I do know that originally people had thought that the show was based off of the Clintons, and he was like, it's not actually based off of anyone.
But there must be some inspiration, huh?
There is inspiration, yes, and he didn't really speak much on that.
So when
But,
people, it's like when people eat and they get quiet, they enjoy it. So maybe it's him enjoying that people realize that some stuff is taken from the Clintons. And in my opinion, but I don't have all the information, so this is just my opinion of what I have. The Clintons are one of the most evil people on the planet. Maybe not Bill. Bill is pretty cool. The way he's with the ladies, and yeah. I just like him. I like Joe Rogan's impression of Bill Clinton. Oh, Ivanka. Oh, Ivanka. That was hilarious. You said before you did totally forget to take pictures while you were there. How is it as your mom? I mean, do you enjoy the moments with all the technology that is around nowadays? You have your phone and stuff like this.
If you ask my son, he would tell you that I'm totally addicted to my phone. I probably am. I am. I love technology.
It makes it easier for you as a mom to keep in touch with him as well when he travels, right?
Oh, of course.
I saw that you went out with your son for Mother's Day, so there were lots of pictures available on social media. And I actually don't know, but I took the freedom to put your Facebook account on the description, so in case people want to talk to you or have questions about you, just let me know if you want me to take that out. I kind of forgot to ask. I hope you didn't mind.
Oh, not at all.
Awesome. So all my million people audience, you can now go to Deby Barnes' Facebook account and bomb her with all the questions you have. Deby, Raymond, aka Junior, aka Prada G, as you mentioned before, he's now 20, and you have the house a little bit more for yourself. What is it you have been looking forward to the most of getting your son out of the house? Because as much as you love your son, don't try to bullshit me. It must be a cool, happy time to be free again.
Well, to be free and still be like in my early 40s is kind of awesome. I don't have to share the car. We still share a car because he lives half the time in LA and half the time in Canada. So we don't want to have extra expenses that aren't necessary, like an extra apartment that he's not going to be in for 6 months, or an extra car that he has to pay for that he's not going to be using for 6 months. So when he's gone, I don't have to worry about, oh, does he need the car? When he's gone, I don't have to cook for 2 or 3 or however many friends he has over. I get to actually sit in the living room and watch TV or eat my dinner instead of stay in my room. I mean, I don't have to stay in my room, but I just usually do. But knowing that I could come out into the living room and just chill is always nice sometimes too.
Yeah, it seems like when your son has friends over, you constantly have a full house. I mean, Casper, Kid David, it's constantly stuff going on. Do you have time to actually take a break and do something that you like to do next to teaching and being with your son and cooking and all this stuff?
You know, I think that through time, those are the things that have become what I like. Because I do it all the time. I enjoy cooking for people. I do hang out with a couple of friends from work, and we do something once a month. I try to read here on occasion, and but yeah, I mean, I think, you know, just like everyone else, you know, find a good show on Netflix and binge it. I like going to the movies, and I have no problem going to the movies by myself or with friends or with someone else. I think that it's just the simple things.
Yeah, sometimes that's why I call the podcast Surrounded by Details. Sometimes life is about the details. And talking about food, I still think I owe you a cooking session.
Yes, fresh bread. You know, I'm all about bread. I have not forgotten.
Yeah, me neither. That's why I bring it up, to put a little bit more pressure on myself. Am I actually closer in Asia to LA than I was in Europe? I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah, my geographical knowledge is letting me down here right now, but I think we are actually closer. And who knows? The world is a small place. When was the last time you actually went back to Korea?
I haven't been back to Korea since I was a baby.
Oh, why not?
But this is something we did discuss with my mom on Mother's Day, that we would all like to go together.
And how much is that actually gonna happen from a scale 1 to 10? I mean, did you guys just talk about it, or did you make concrete plans?
We talked about it and how much we would have to save in order to go.
Yeah, but you are not afraid of flying or anything? What about your mom? I mean, she's a old school generation. Does she has problems with flying, or?
My mom's a G. She'll fly anywhere.
Boom. You see, my parents, they are old school. They have excuses. My dad is tall, back problems, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a long flight. So it's tough sometimes.
Right. No, she'll fly.
I want to ask you, and as I mentioned before here, before we started to live stream, you can always say pass. I don't really want to. But what is the moment of the biggest disappointment that your son has brought to you?
Oh, the biggest disappointment?
Because as a mom, you have ups and downs, and it's always, I love my son, I love my kid. But people who, are about to have kids, because everybody around me at the moment starts to pop up babies. I don't know why, but what is that they have to think about when it comes to the bad times?
I think, and I can be honest about this because I've told him. He probably doesn't want me to share this with everyone, but he had a period of time between 18 to 19 where I loved him very much, but I liked him less.
How come?
And it's because, he was finding his own way as a young man, as an adult, and listening to and following the advice of your mom, who has gotten you where you are today, is not a cool thing anymore.
Yeah,
and
I hear you.
So we would battle, and it really hurt my heart because I'm like, all of a sudden he doesn't believe me, and I had to actually talk to some friends of mine that are also actors that were his age, that were young teen and young adult actors that are now still acting as adults, that were like, he's just finding his way and he needs to explore. And anything that you say right now, even if it's right, he needs to hear it from someone else.
Yeah, I think it's a normal process because you are with your parents all the time and you hear from them all the time. At some point you have that point where you just want to go out and prove to your parents that you actually can do things by yourself, because that is how I felt with my parents. And I see your kind of disappointment in that, but the coin always has two sides. So I actually think the good part here is that he actually tried to prove to you that he has become a grown-up person and he wants to make you proud.
No, of course. I mean, it wasn't disappointment as much as it was like heartbreak, because that's my baby and he's growing up, and I want to shield him from any bad things or bad choices. But I do realize, as I was also 18 and 19, that he has to sometimes he does just have to find his way, and when he doesn't do what I tell him to do and it's good advice and it backfires on him, he is honest enough to say, look, Mom, you were right.
That is the important part, that people can actually develop and recognize their own faults instead of trying to defend bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I have that too often with people I meet in work when they do a mistake where they just try to defend themselves instead of just saying, okay, I fucked up. It's easier that way, and then you can continue easily.
But it's like, it is a joke with us. I was like, I really just, 18 to 19, I just didn't like you. And he's like, but I'm just now 20. I'm like, well, I mean, it's probably my least favorite time in his life, but we still had a lot of fun during that time. It's just, as a parent, and as a single parent who's just, your whole life has revolved around this one person for so long, to see them start pulling away, it's a very hard thing to adjust to. I thought I was doing it a little bit at a time, like letting him, giving him more freedom, all these different things. But I don't think that you're ever completely really prepared. Like, I know he wants to move out and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, he's going to leave. And I know that it's time. I know that he needs to at some point, but it still is like, that's my baby. Sorry. Transition.
Yeah, in Germany we have a saying, we call it leeres Nest syndrome. I know you didn't understand at all what I just said, but it's what is the English word for the home of a bird? They build it. What's the English?
Nest. We call it the same thing. Empty nest syndrome.
And perfect. That was so close. Almost the same. So are you starting to sweat and panic a little bit that this might come sooner than later?
No, not so much. Like, he just came home. He's been living in Canada. He was living in Canada for 6 months. So and he came home once a month for a week. And so I'm slowly getting used to it, but just knowing that my place is not going to be his permanent home at some point in time is tough. I mean, I think I've got a good another year because of his show, but I'm preparing myself and just trying to build a life of my own outside of him.
Yeah.
So that it's not a shock.
So how is this gonna go down with Bronson? I mean, are you guys gonna have a dance battle about the dog, or what's gonna happen?
Oh, he's taking Bronson. Bronson is his dog. He has to give me a new dog.
Oh, he has to give you a new dog. Does he know about that?
Yes, absolutely.
That's funny, man.
His deal was, if I am living alone, Bronson will stay with me. If I'm not living alone, he's taking his dog.
Okay, interesting. Are you gonna go with the bulldog again, or are you gonna choose a different dog?
I'm not sure yet, because Bronson is so amazing, but he sheds so much hair that I feel like everywhere I go, I take Bronson with me, and I don't know if I want to deal with that for another period of time. I think I might want to go with a dog that sheds just a little bit less.
But it's tough because it's hot in LA. So a lot of animals, cats, they just lose their hair just because of the weather that's going on there.
No, you don't understand. Bulldogs shed an unbelievable amount of hair.
That's crazy. I'm not really into bulldogs. A friend is actually gonna go get a bulldog. We're gonna have a special dog episode when he picks up the puppy here in Bangkok. We're gonna bring the puppy on the show and then talk about dogs and boys and men, because that is pretty close together, I believe.
Right.
That was a German joke.
Bulldogs are amazing. Like, Bronson's trained. He does all kinds of tricks, and he's taking a nap right.
Did you teach him, or did Junior teach him?
I taught him. I'm the dog whisperer.
And how much different was it to teach tricks to a dog instead of your son?
Oh, the dog was much easier.
All you have to do is
dog food, and then he does whatever you want.
That's pretty easy. That sounds pretty easy. My dad I grew up with dogs. My dad trained police dogs and military back in the day, so I love dogs. I got bitten in my eye when I was a small kid by a dog, so I have respect for dogs that I don't know. But all in all, I'm a dog lover. But if I would have to choose between a dog and a cat, I would probably go for the pussy. I mean cat. Sorry.
I'm allergic to cats. So
okay, that makes it easier for you.
But I do like them.
But they're bitchy, because you tell them, don't do that, and then the cat says, okay, I'm not gonna do anything, and then you go to bed, and then the cat just does whatever the cat wants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen Have you seen the movie Pets?
No, I sure haven't.
You have to watch this, because we basically tell the movie right now, because the movie is animated. It's about pets. It's very, very funny. Deby, I want to go back here a little bit, because you said your least favorite age of your son was 18, 19. Let's go into a time machine and travel a little bit further back. How would you consider yourself as 18 and 19?
Oh, I was a hot mess.
You were a hot mess.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Explain yourself.
Are you kidding me? Well, let's see. When I was 18, I left home. Well, I moved to Greece after graduating from high school to live with my dad. He was in the military.
All right.
I went to go visit one of my really good friends in Germany, and I met a boy there, moved to Germany, fell in love. Well, 3 weeks later, I moved to Germany, fell in love, all that other stuff, moved back to LA, was lost for a while. I mean, I was a nightmare. I never did anything in the order that I was supposed to. I didn't go to college right away. I just kind of did my own thing. I partied. I did all kinds of stuff. And I'm so grateful that my child is not me.
There's so much I don't know about you. I didn't know that you were living in Germany. You told me about Greece once. I remember that, but I never knew that you actually lived in Germany.
I lived in Germany for 6 months.
What do you think about the Germans?
I didn't have a problem. It's probably at that time it was one of the cleanest countries I'd ever seen in my life. Like they had rules about sweeping the sidewalk and the street in front of their house,
Yes.
and noise pollution laws and all kind. And everywhere I went, it was just beautiful, quiet, and clean.
Yeah, the only country that I would consider more clean than Germany is probably Japan. Japan is insane.
Oh, okay.
You don't even see a trash bin on the road, but yet there's not even a cigarette butt or anything like that. And talking about cigarette butt, no, wait, now I go too fast. Because why I ask you, how would you consider yourself when you were 18, 19? When you realized that you were pregnant, did you wanted to find out the gender, and what was more important for you, to get a boy or a girl? What was your head going for?
I did want to know the gender, and I think I wanted a boy. I can't picture myself as a girl mom. Like girls are all frilly and they wear dresses and they're all cute and stuff like that. I'm not that kind of girl, so I don't think that I wanted a boy.
Yeah? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you, because my parents, they were completely prepared when they got me or my sister. My sister is 3 years older. Did you have a girl's name, or did you not care about this at all? As soon as you found out, you focused, of course you focused on a boy. What a stupid question, Steve-O.
I did have a girl's name picked out.
So what would his name be if he would have been a girl?
Michaela.
Michaela? That
Yep.
sounds Swedish.
It's kind of like Michaela,
Uh-huh.
but Michaela.
That's funny. Personally, my own opinion, please don't hate me, but Michaela for me is it's not a nice name for a female. I'm a big fan of very chandelle, français, stuff like this,
Right. Well, luckily he's Raymond. Well, he's named after his dad. So, his dad is Ray, and his full name is Raymond Cham. So I just call him Raymond because his dad was Ray, or we call him Junior. And my mom, he has a lot of names, and my mom calls him June because in Korean, June is a male's name.
Ah, okay, interesting. I didn't know
that. So June, Junior, and when I'm really loving him a lot, I call him Junie Booney.
These are all nicknames. If my parents would say this out loud, I would. Yeah, it's always. My mom always calls me Stevie, and I hate that. It's probably a big mistake to mention that on the podcast right now, but I hate that. And so whenever I have like good friends that know that I hate this, they do this on purpose, and I could just break their neck if they do that. I hate it. However, I just lost my question here. I was going somewhere. Oh yes, you mentioned earlier in our little chat here that you are. How old are you? You're almost going into your 40s, right?
I am in my 40s.
You are in your 40s. So how old were you when you got your son?
23.
23, which is still quite young. Are you afraid, or if your son has the same path in life, that he becomes a parent early in his life? What are the pros and cons of being an early mother?
The pros was I'm still young and he's gone. He's pretty much gone, and I can enjoy my life. I don't know. I mean, the cons is I think the cons are the same with any parent. You don't really know what the hell you're doing when you have your first kid. You just kind of wing it. We were like kids having kids, and he was like this real live toy that could actually get hurt and stuff. So I don't look at anything as being cons. It's just the fact that it's the first time experience, so you don't really know what you're doing, and you just hope you're doing the best that you can.
I had the
go on.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Oh no,
Yes.
no, sorry. I had this when I turned 30. I'm 31 now, and when I turned 30, I had a switch of shit, my 20s, and I thought I knew the whole world, and now I realize that I basically don't know anything. I can imagine as a parent, these steps are much closer and happen way more often.
Oh, for sure. It's I feel like something magical happened when I turned 32. It's like all of a sudden life became a little more clear. And I think that as you get older, you realize how much you really don't know, as opposed to how much you thought you knew, like you said, when you're in your 20s and all that. But if my son, it's funny that you should ask, because yesterday for Mother's Day, my son gave me a Mother's Day card that told me, he wrote this long thing in there, and he was like, I want to be there when you open it. And I'm like, okay. So I'm reading it, and it's like, you're the greatest mom, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah. That sounds like you don't give a shit. He's opening up for you.
No, I mean, it was a beautiful card. And then I get one paragraph in, and he's like, and I just thought that this might be the time to tell you that you're going to be a grandma.
What?
And then, yeah. Oh. And inside my head, I was like, what? I looked at him, and I said, what? I was like, no, don't say anything. Let me just keep on reading. And I'm reading, and he's telling me, I know this wasn't the time that we were expecting, and da-da-da. And in my mind, I'm reading, but I'm not really reading to read. I'm reading so that I can think, how am I going to react? Am I going to scream and yell at him? Or am I going to be calm and say, hey, it is what it is. What do we do now? It's going to be okay. I got you. And then I get all the way to the bottom, and he's like, I'm just kidding. You're going to be a grandma, just not anytime soon. Maybe in like 10 or 15 years. I love it.
That's a classic. I do that with my parents once in a while because they have, it's quite funny to see their reactions.
Oh, he said that I looked like the look on my face was priceless. I mean, because literally I was stunned. I didn't know how to react, because I wanted to be supportive, but I was frustrated. I'm like, oh gosh, how I react in this moment is going to say everything about who I am as a parent for a long time. So think about what you're going to say before you say it.
But that's a very intelligent way of acting as a human being, because a lot of people don't think like that. They don't think about what their own reaction causes, because everything is a chain reaction, and every action has a reaction. So I think that is what makes an intelligent person and a great person and an inspiring person, to have that process in your head while it happens. So that is not many people that can do that. So I would take my hat off if I wouldn't have my headphones on.
Honestly, I think that I only have that capability when it comes to my son. With the rest of life, I'm not so sure.
What would you consider is your biggest thing if you look back now at your life? You are in your 40s. You became a mom early. Is there anything that you would change in your life, or are you completely happy with who you are and how things are going today?
I can't think of anything. I mean, other than the typical things that most girls would say, I wish I wouldn't have dated that person, or but other than that, I really like my life. I feel like if I would change anything in my life, the end result of where I am today, where my son is today, would be completely different.
Yeah.
And I don't have any complaints.
That sounds like a very good life to me. And before I wrap this up, because we have been recording for almost an hour, I know it's late over at your place, and you have a job to go to tomorrow as well, so I don't want to drag this out too much. But I want to end with a very personal question, because this podcast, my goal for this podcast is to have personal conversations in order to inspire other people, because we take our lives for granted, you and me and other people, because we're living it. But there's a lot more people out there who are caught up in a wrong life that they consider real, but which is not really real. So again, please mention if you just want to pass on the question, then we can continue. But did you ever regret to have one kid instead of two? Because a lot of kids that grow up by themselves, they say, I wish I would have had a bigger sister or younger brother or something like this. What are your thoughts about this? Or has Junior ever brought this up to you?
I go back and forth on this all the time. I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I'm like, there's still a chance, but I didn't want to do it again by myself.
Yeah.
And then, 3 years ago, I decided personally for myself that the minute that he was capable to live on his own and he moved out, I'm done. Like, I don't want to be a parent anymore. Like, I mean, I'm always going to be a parent, but I don't want to do it again. So, do I regret? Sometimes, but then I also think, oh my God, if I had another one, that child would be the devil because my child is so amazing, because I could strike gold 2 times, but then, there are other times, like, I think that now that I'm getting older and, the possibility of, this is all genetic speaking, the possibility of having a healthy, normal child at my age and year after year that comes is decreasing. And with that comes a different kind of biological response. Like, oh my God, I'm losing my ability to be a woman. And it's just I believe it's just a mind fuck that society puts on you that, women are the bearer of children. That's what we're here for. And so in my mind, sometimes I think, oh my God, I'm about to lose that. I'm about to, I'm going to be broken. But I have to remind myself that that's not the case. So then that's when I think, do I want to have another one? And then I start to panic. I mean, and this is just honest. Wow, I'm being honest. An honest feeling. But I know that that's just biology speaking versus intellectual thinking. Because intellectually, I'm like, yo, I'm done. Like, this kid is 20 years old. To start all over at 43, yeah, I'm good. Like, it's time for me to live my life now.
Yeah, my parents thought the same thing, that life is, or that you are done when the kids are moving out. But that's going to go on for much, much longer time, because your son is always going to be your son, I guess. So you will always have a kid, if you know what I mean. Not really a kid, even if he grows up, but he will always come to you for advice. So it never really stops, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that comes from a person who doesn't even have kids by himself or even thinks about having kids. Yeah, Debbie, excuse me, there is not much more to say. You said before that you have times where you are afraid of losing the capability of being a woman and stuff like this. Again, he is a dude talking, but in my opinion, you are one of the most inspiring women I can think of. And this is what I always love about life, because you meet people, you talk to people, and then when you don't talk to other people, you live your life, but you don't know how much you influence other people. And to get to know you has always been a great inspiration of finding a solution between sacrifice and making things happen. And I think what you have accomplished with your son is nothing less than tremendous. So thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing all your thoughts and the insight and all this kind of stuff. As a teacher, the last word for you, what would you give out to young up-and-coming parents or people who have not traveled? What is your big advice for young people in life?
For parents, I would always say, because you would be surprised how many parents don't, really know who your children are, because that helps them in the education process, whether they have disabilities, whether they don't have disabilities, whether they have behavior problems, whether they don't. Be honest with yourself with who your children are.
That sounds epic.
And then if you are a child, I would say, don't ever give up on yourself.
Consistency. That is, I think, what has made you to who you are as well, because you obviously never gave up. You always kept going, and no matter what you do in life, let it be a mom, a dad, or in my case, a freelance photographer, the most important thing in life is to keep on going and to believe in yourself and to visualize and to be consistent. That is the key. Never give up, no matter what other people say, no matter if you never directly see the success, because as long as you keep going, there will be a time where things come together.
Absolutely.
Deby, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I hope it won't take that long until our next chat.
Absolutely. Let me know. And I'm still looking forward to my bread.
I have to make it and then I have to send it over to you, because otherwise I'm gonna hear that for the rest of my life.
Well, I'll make sure that when it gets here, I'll send you a picture of it on my Instagram or my Facebook, because I know how much you love pictures of food.
Yeah, I love it. I really like that. And that actually reminds me that I have to get in touch with Daniel, because you guys are just taking pictures out of food. And for me as a photographer, it's like raping your camera. Why do you take pictures of food? I don't get it. All right, that's it.
We want you to be jealous of what we're eating.
Yeah, that is not a good thing. Think about all the other people who are not capable of this. So, with that being said, yeah, why did I say that? That sounded so evil now at the end. You don't deserve evil. So please keep on doing amazing food pictures. Just don't send them to me.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
I talk to you soon, Deby. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boom, ladies and gentlemen, there we go, Deby Barnes. Again, what a inspiring woman. And I see here now, because I was on my YouTube channel on the live stream, you guys actually never saw what Deby looks like. So let me do this before I get off the podcast, because it is early in the morning here. So there you actually see Deby Barnes. That is what she looks like. She's not only an awesome person, she is also a pretty person. So yeah, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks again to Deby for making the time that late, coming on the podcast and giving advice, and just sharing her experience, because I believe that is what you should do. A lot of people are afraid of social media. Facebook is evil and YouTube is evil, and this is one of the reasons why so much shit and fake news is out there. That is true, but I have to quote Joe Rogan here: just because one person can't drive a car doesn't mean that we should take it away from all the other people. And go and share your experience, because your experience might be inspiration to somebody else. Never underestimate your story and who you are. Know who you are as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Surrounded by Details Podcast. You can also download all our episodes for free. Audio only, but shut the fuck up, because it is for free. So go on Podbean, iTunes, just look for the Surrounded by Details podcast. Make sure to give us a like and to subscribe and to share, because it might just take a second for you, but it means the world to us. Wow, now I gave you bad feeling here. Just, this is how it works. I make you feel bad, so then you have to go. I'm gonna finish my coffee. I was actually planning to have wine to this conversation, but then I realized 10 a.m. in the morning might not be a good idea to drink wine, because we gotta hustle for the rest of the day. That is what freelance life is all about. I'm gonna talk more about that on Thursday. I'm gonna share time and flyer with you on my social media, Instagram, steve.bonhage, steve.bonhage. Facebook, Steve Bonhage Photography, Surrounded by Details Podcast. We have Twitter as well, but we don't really give a shit about Twitter. So go on my social media or on my website, www.stevebonhage.com. I can't even spell my own name. That's probably the reason why I have a passport. That's it for me. My name is Steve. You have been listening to the Surrounded by Details podcast. There is a coffee coming into the frame, and here's another coffee. I'm gonna finish that. Shout out to Pifong, my coffee lady around the corner. I love Bangkok, and you are all amazing people. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and love each other. See ya.